from all, to all, with all, for all, through all. We thank the gods of creation. We thank the ancestors. We thank the forces of nature. And we thank the earth. We thank them for their direction, their protection, their guidance, for keeping us, showing us, allowing us to know and enjoy life to its fullest, now and later.
Black people who once loved with the slow march of time. Time was ours to hold in the soft, love-warm chambers of our hearts. And once we, the Afro mommies and daddies of a sun world, would turn our strands of hair into antennas to tune in the juju madness and syncopated love rhythms of Africa. And we love with time, and we took the time to love, and with the right time we love, and we love time after time. Will we ever love again? Will we ever love again? Will we really ever love again? Or will we just sit and rot away with the brighter tomorrows in the skag field, rat-cluttered halls of our minds?
Black people, what y'all gonna do? Black people, what y'all gonna do?
Will the real black people please stand up?
Let our rejoicing rise high as listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us facing.
And welcome once again to Our Story, the program that makes being black positive, relevant, desirable, and true to a lost nation in America. A program that speaks to the historical significance of the original people of the earth. Our Story Network takes pride in setting itself away from other programs that centers on entertainment or rhetorical mumbo-jumbo that misdirects your attention onto other things that causes you to exhaust your resources and renders you brain dead. It is Our Story who talks about commitment to you and your people. It is Our Story that champions the reestablishment of the black genius that once ruled the world. It is Our Story that focuses you in on the rewards of black advocacy, black activism, black involvement, and black power. It is Our Story that encourages survival of the black race and solicits your involvement to that end. Black folks must remember race first is the call of the day, and we as a people must. I say must take the pledge if we, the people of the original race, expect to survive. As I take the many lessons I have received over the years and reflect upon them by sharing these lessons with my brothers and sisters, I realize the power that we as a people possess, for the most part, has gone unnoticed. The black masses of black folks who have been rendered lost and disenfranchised from the meaning and mission our creators intended for us to embrace is all but depleted. It is because of the mission and meaning of the life of our ancestors that I realize how blessed as black people we really are. What fascinates me are the many gifts I've been granted, which allows me to distribute the information onward to you. As always, that message begins and ends with the importance of blackness. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Greetings, friends, comrades, family, the inquisitive onlookers, and our beloved viewers. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to Our Story Network. We thank you for being with us this evening, and we trust you will take something of value away with you after the program. That is the aim and goals of Our Story Network, the network that leads the pack in modern-day communications and ancient and modern-day education. I say ancient and modern education because of the many errors we have found in the translations and interpretations of the ancient records. The modern revelations by new black scholars have opened the window of discovery that has allowed the truth and knowledge originally disseminated by the black masters of education to flourish once again. This is one of the stumbling blocks that has kept black people from rebuilding their greatness and recapturing their birthright. Good evening, brothers and sisters, and how many of you are solving or resolving problems facing black people today? I'm sure this sounds belligerent, and that is not my intent. The intention of this is to evoke thought to the circumstances surrounding our environmental conditions. Example of this can be found in Mayor LaToya Cantrell's pronouncements for her new administration. Mayor Cantrell, in her inaugural address back in May, where she declared some foundational principles of her new administration, said this, and I quote, "We're going to do things with purpose. We're going to do things that matter. And we're going to do things that make some people uncomfortable," end of quote. Mayor Cantrell has been in office some 5 months now, and the people of New Orleans must give her time to generate the changes she wants to make. I, for one, doubt very seriously if she will make the needed changes to stop the murder and crime in New Orleans. I basically believe the changes necessary for changing the social climate towards murder and crime will take the act of Jesus Christ, if you will, to turn this city around. Now, before you get the wrong interpretations of my use of Jesus Christ, understand that Jesus Christ described in the Bible evoked a cultural change. This is what I am talking about. A cultural change is necessary for murder and crime to change in New Orleans and throughout America. If we are honest with our black selves, we must admit the change from fighting with fists to fighting with deadly weapons came about because of a change in the cultural habits and appetites black people followed. Think about it. Integration destroyed segregation, and with that destruction of family values changed as well. Communal values that served the people from the days of enslavement to the days of communal detention. Communal detention is the so-called separate but equal citizenship status granted blacks with the Emancipation Proclamation, the Dred Scott caliber of life in America. Don't get me wrong. I applaud Mayor Cantrell for her enthusiasm, but I question the city's ability to accept the necessary changes to realize Mayor Cantrell's goals. Now, what can we use as a benchmark for measuring the change necessary to reach the mayor's goals? I would suggest the actions of Kendra Joi a radio personality who joined forces with the cultural community of New Orleans this past weekend to hold a number of activities designed to bring awareness to the city of New Orleans in hopes of returning a divided city to an amalgamated community. From my observations and calculations over the years of work in the community as an advocate and activist, I have learned placing a Band-Aid over a gushing wound will not stop the bleeding. The same is true for stopping the murder and crime in any city in America, which I might add has been proven out over the last 30 years of too little, too late in addressing the negative behaviors in the urban cities. We do not need more policing in our communities. We need more respect and love for one another. We need to return to the tribalism that politicians try to make a four-letter word out of in the face of rehabilitations and reconciliations. The problem of murder and crime is not a manifestation of tribalism, but the procedures of eliminating tribal values from tribal people. Let me call on history as a witness to this thesis. Black people have been documented in living in peace and harmony on the face of the earth for millions of years. Yet the same documentation can only realize the white race as being on the face of the earth for a maximum of 6,000 years. The fact that murder only entered into the historical records once whites inhabited the earth is a documented fact. So how could millions of years be overtaken by one drop of water in the ocean of water counting 6,000 years? The lesson here is we must return back to the morals and values our ancestors cherished and passed down to our current generation. Ask yourself, how do we do this? By looking towards the work of people like Kendra Joi and others who are actively reaching out to us for reconciliation of our ancestral truth. Let's listen to a small segment of this past weekend.
Tinu wanga tinu wafindu. Awaruru, araruru, ariwu manja, alade koju mopwe oyeye mi okete pon. Omarodo edagunya ja, agbeno busola, oduro netori ni atimwama, eni yosi eni mi rawifun, aromi tutu seke ajagun. Dear Yeye Oshun, thank you for blessing us with all that comes from the mighty, mighty rivers. The wise woman from the deep forest, the wise woman from the flowing rivers, the wise woman who gives joy to our people. She gives joy how? By giving to the barren, giving babies to the barren, by protecting the reproductive hormones of our males, by protecting the reproductive hormones of our females, by giving fortune to the unfortunate. Dear Yeye Oshun, I pray that all that are here today, that they are blessed with longevity. May every cell, every organ, every bone, every part of their being and their body is built with longevity, and that they have good health and strength. May they have fortune. May they be blessed with wealth and all that they need to take care of for their families. May they be blessed with children. May they be blessed with a strong, structured family and spouses, and may no one ever divide them or pull them apart. May they be blessed with victory. May they have victory over all negative forces. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Prayer matters. More than we are anything else. And when we're confused about something, know that someone is praying for you in every language, every culture, every manifestation possible. And I would like to invite you to take a deep breath and tap into some of it somewhere. Just breathe this one in. This matters most. It matters now. This is what we came to do. Ashe? Ashe. Amadasi, which means thank you in Twi Madasi.
Now, before we get into the process of finding every and any excuse to find a way out, allow me to share with you prayer has a flip side as well. Let us see what happened after the prayer.
Keep on lying. Why the people keep on lying? Whoa. Keep on telling. Doesn't want me to. I'm so tired, let me try it again. 'Cause my last time I heard I never hold up sin. I'm so glad that I know more than I knew then. Gonna keep on trying till I reach my highest ground.
Let me introduce to our audience one of the people responsible for putting together a meaningful alternative to the Band-Aid on a gushing wound approach being used today by those who have no ears to hear or eyes to see. The person who is revolutionizing the approach to murder and crime in New Orleans, Sister Kendra Joi. And welcome to our story, Sister, and thank you for being with us this evening. And thank you for such a wonderful program that you and the others put on. We have some pictures we'll look at later because we'll show what went on in the evening so they'll understand exactly what happened there. But thank you for being with us, and tell us, what is it, how is it, and why is it you decided to take this direction?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and just looking at the footage just now, because you know when you're back behind the scenes and you're running around, you really don't get a chance to see all of the great things that were taking place. And I just got so full. I'm like, oh wow, this, you know, people were really dancing and enjoying themselves after prayer. But I have a nonprofit. It's called I Am My Sister. And I Am My Sister is an organization for women of color and their families. It's a wellness organization. And what we realize within our community as women is that we have a lot of myths that don't allow us to work together, because we're always thinking about, oh, what would somebody else think of me? Oh, this culture doesn't work with this culture. Or divisiveness in regards to, oh, I'm not going to speak to that person because that person is a Christian. I'm not going to speak to that person because they practice a African tradition. Or I'm not going to speak to this person because they're, practice of the Islamic faith. And so what we did with this particular conference was we called it the Women of Color. We understand the power of women of color, so we definitely understand that. Women of Color Days of Healing Conference. And in this particular conference, we had 12 facilitators, all local. We were just showing the greatness that we have in our city. We have amazing women in our city. We had one young lady who came from New York. Her name was Sister Zoe Flowers. And then we had, as Brother Shaq called him, the token brother that was in the lineup, Brother Belingo Ashe. Of the vegan market. He is a vegan chef, and he was talking to us about cooking with the laws of nature. And so with all of these things combined, we talked about what it was to be spirit first. And no matter what religion or doctrine you decide, we are spirit first. When you hurt, I hurt. When you cry, I cry. And we incorporated not only the sisters, but even on the day of prayer, we incorporated the brothers. And while the sisters were and the children were in the middle of the circle, the brothers were protecting us on the outside. And it was just a beautiful thing. And not only did we have multiple doctrines of religion, but we had a group of Native Americans and indigenous people that came from all over. Antigua, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida, Miami, Tampa. It was just incredible. And with this, we began to talk about and deal with some hardcore, some deep-rooted issues like molestation. You know what I'm saying? Why doesn't the sister talk to me because I got kinky hair? Why does the sister decide not to talk to me because she has beautiful straight hair? That's why we had Kim Doley, and then she's a beautiful light-skinned sister with long hair, and she's just like, thank you for just having this, because we are closing the gap. And it's important because when we heal, the communities heal. When we're together, I told the sister, I said, when you change the mindset of a woman, you change the mindset of a nation. You literally change a nation. And so this is our attempt to begin to unify sisters of all backgrounds, people of color, all religions, to begin to work to not only heal ourselves, but our families and our communities.
And you know, that's what it takes in order for us to begin to create the vision that is necessary for us to make the steps in the journey that we have to take one way or the other. So I'm so glad that you and others have gotten together to introduce, or actually reintroduce, New Orleans back into the culture that this city used to be so rich with that culture. I mean, I can remember back in the 80s and 90s when we used to do Kwanzaa. We used to have throughout the year, the various events, cultural events. Now it's not so much, but hopefully we'll get back on the track and rebuild so that we can return to that time of greatness. And in order to get to that time of greatness, we have to go back through the journey and the path that got us to where we are today. Definitely. And what we're doing now is dealing with a few stumbling blocks, because we were rising up, but we have stumbled. So now we have to brush ourselves off and move on out. Now, understanding that you had a lot of people from various religions, various belief systems there, and they all gave their prayers, they all gave their cultural beings, if you will. So tell us about some of the cultures that were represented.
I'm gonna get all excited again. We had 7, I was supposed to do my Gullah prayer, but I just could not just gather myself together to even add that to the mix. But we had Sister Tamar, who did a prayer she spoke in Hebrew, because she is a Hebrew Israelite, is right here in the city of New Orleans. Then we had Sister Cheryl, who did an Islamic prayer, and she did it in Arabic. She sang the whole song and she told us what it said in the Quran. And then we had Sister Naima Zulu, Chief Shaka's wife, who came and did the Ifa prayer of Oshun. That was so beautiful. We thank you. We thank the women. We had Sister Tony Jones, who came in and did a Christian prayer. We thank you for that. Then we had Sister Kimberly Doley, who came in along with Mama Denise Graves and prayed a Buddhist prayer. We thank you for that. And then we also had, I'm missing one, Hebrew, Tama. I feel like I'm missing one. Which one did I miss? I can't think of it.
It'll come to you.
But it was 7 prayers. It was 7 prayers, and each of them, society says that we cannot get along. Society says that a Christian woman can't hold an Islamic woman's hand and be okay and say and want the best for one another. And that was so proven wrong on that stage that day. And the goal was to let everybody know that we are praying for, and Mama Denise said it in her prayers, don't ever think that you were by yourself or ever going to be by yourself, because there is someone praying for you in whatever doctrine, you know. And so it was just a very powerful moment just to see all of the women. I'm not an emotional person, but I broke down and started crying, because it was just a lot. It was a lot to see and to intake, because people say that we can't make this happen, but we know we can. We've been peaceful with other tribes, with other people. People of color have been doing that for years.
Now this was the evening. Explain the evening for us.
The evening, we had the gathering of families. The gathering of families was something that was very special. We met, Baba Peter, Haroon, and I, during Essence, met Minister Louis Farrakhan's granddaughter, Sister Queen Yanaja Lone Wolf. And she wanted to begin to do some work with the Black masking Indians here in the city, because it was known to them that Black masking Indians were mocking them and not honoring them. So we came up with this program called Gathering of Families, and we had at least 8 to 9 tribes represented from all over. They came from Florida, South Dakota, all these different places. And then we brought in the healers of the community along with the chiefs and the queens of the Black masculine Indians that we have in this city. And we began to talk about what ways we can begin to heal. How can we begin to work together to take away some of what's holding us back? And that was a beautiful event. Thank you to Tremaine Market Branch for allowing us to have that event there. We wanted to keep it someplace that was close to Congo Square, but we also wanted to be a place of significance still inside of our community, and they are definitely that particular space, and so we are thankful for that. A sister from Yamasee, South Carolina, very exciting. It was an exciting time. And that particular circle group that we did, Queen Yanaja, she made sure that we understood that in the tribal, when they're on the reservation, what they do is that they go around multiple times. And when they're going around multiple times talking about their issues or their concern, they're smoking tobacco. And then after they come to a conclusion while they're smoking tobacco, she said this can go on for hours and hours. They get up and they go around and they hug each other one way, clockwise, and then they come back and hug each other again counterclockwise until everybody is back in their original space to make sure that there is peace when they leave the circle. Mm-hmm. So that is only part one. We're going to have a part two because we did not get through everything that we needed to get through on this particular time. But that was part one, and it was just so. There are no words. We got cleansed. We got sage. Queen Asetua, she came and she did her prayers. We did a little bit of libation. It was just beautiful. It was a beautiful experience with the chiefs and the Native Americans in one space at one time.
And once again, you moved the handles and the hands of time into a position that we once knew and we once appreciated. And we lose that dealing with all of this confusion and foolishness that we've been forced to have to deal with just to survive.
Yeah.
You know, when you get in tune with your inner self, there's a whole different world that's waiting for you there, you know? And and for those that have not had the experience, then I feel sorry for them because they're missing a lot. Mm-hmm. For those that have had that experience and for whatever reason falter, and I understand, it's easy to falter because of all of the ammunition that's being thrown at us to unbalance us.
Yes.
To leave that inner peace that we can find within ourselves. But when we have people that are actively seeking, doing, and reaching out to embrace others, man, there is nothing like it.
Yeah, it is a beautiful, it was just so dope. Like there's no other there is no other way to describe that. And as a matter of fact, when we did we had a cultural dinner where Queen Yanaja spoke for a quick second, and she taught us a song in her native language and her native tongue. And when she was doing that, she gave us a drum, and the spirit, it just raised the vibration so high. And so we had this vibration that was going when she was singing the song. And then at the end of the night, we had 3 chiefs come through. The 3 chiefs that came, we had, once again, it was the drum that is consistent amongst all cultures.
Yes.
People of color.
Yes.
All the vowel cultures, you know? And so they came through and they started, and that was the first time that the Native Americans even saw anything as close to them. So the Mardi Gras Indians, they came through, then the Native Americans started beating with their drum, and the spirit was so high. It was just like you could have asked for anything in the spirit at that moment and it would have been granted. It just would have been given to you because of the fellowship, the joy. And we had little kids that were dancing in the midst of it. And so you had little kids having the ability to see actual Native Americans and not the version of Native Americans that they give us in the history books.
Or on TV.
Or on TV, you know, and so it was a beautiful thing to be able to see the combining of cultures.
If you could, can you speak a little more on the process that's going on to try to bring the masking Indians in tune with the indigenous people?
Oh, yes. We didn't know here in the city of New Orleans that the indigenous people knew a little bit. Once again, divisiveness. Once again, that divisiveness. Knew very little, but they considered it to be mocking, that what we were doing in the city of New Orleans, this beautiful culture, was that of honoring. So when Queen Yanaja came in and she saw, we were showing her pictures of the beading, she was like, oh my God, this is so intricate. Oh my God, look at this. This is what we do. It was just like a light went off and she was just like, we have to come. And so when she said we have to come, she gathered the troops and they came. I had to write a general letter to the tribes, and it went out to everybody, and whoever was able to come, they were welcomed. And they came. It was at least between 12 to 15 of them that came from all across, and next year is going to be even bigger. And so this is something that we're going to continue to do, not only with this particular program, but throughout the year, because it's needed. And even from that, Queen Yanaja invited some of the chiefs to come to her reserve so they can learn even more, so they can come back and do this spiritual warfare that we have going on in this city. Mm-hmm. And so it's just an amazing, I don't know what's going to happen to the city now because we began to join forces. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you get those two such strong spirits to come together, it shakes the atmosphere. Things have no choice but to change because of the prayers that are going out, the actual work that's taking place. And so that's who we originally were, and that's who we are, but we have to remember. And so every time we do some type of healing, every time we have some type of program, it's about remembering who you are and being able to tap that out and allow that to be sought out in a very safe environment. And that's what we want to provide at any program that we have, safe environments for you to be able to heal or to cultivate healing or to cultivate wholeness and begin to remember who you are regardless of your doctrine. And we stay in a state of confusion, and that's what the enemy wants, for us to continue to be confused, because as long as we're confused and full of chaos, then of course we won't come together.
Well, the enemy can only rule because of the chaos and confusion.
Yes, but we
don't remember that. We don't think about that.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we contribute to the confusion and the chaos.
Yes, we do.
And they benefit, but it's to our detriment.
Yes.
You know, I wanted to go back though to the masking Indians, because I have noticed in the last several years here that masking Indians have seemed to go into a slightly different direction. They're embracing the indigenous culture more from a standpoint of true culture, as opposed to actually embracing it as theatrics, as being part of Mardi Gras, as being part of the spectacle that people come and spend money to see.
Yes.
Because there is something within the masking Indians that I don't believe has really come to the surface yet. Now, Brother Malik over on the West Bank has been working to get people to know the history of the Maroons here in Louisiana, more specifically the New Orleans area. Within that, the masking Indians have taken a lot of their culture and tradition from, but don't know it. And you know, it's interesting that we get this individual who may not even seem as if they would have any interest in the masking Indians and giving them some knowledge so that they can become more powerful. Or one who is dealing with the indigenous people and trying to get to the regular people so they can understand their relationship to the indigenous ones and why we need to come together.
Yes. We did have a young man there that evening, that Saturday evening, at the Gathering of Families, who spoke about the Moorish culture here in the city of New Orleans. And what I learned, particularly not being from the city, but what I learned in working with the Black Masking Indians in this particular event was that they're only called Mardi Gras Indians just for tourists, just for the tourist population.
Yeah.
Just for that. But they prefer the name in the community. They prefer the name the Black Masking Indians because it is that of what they're talking about, the whole culture of the Native Americans. And even with that being said, the Mandeville Native Americans, the Houma Indians, Native Americans, and there's another group that reached out to me at the very end. And so we're going to start having those types of conversations with them, the local ones, with the Black Masking Indians, because they want to know and they also want to be a part. And I'm just like, whoa, it just kind of got like really big, really fast before I could even think about it. And so we're going to be having those types of conversations to see, and then hopefully Brother Malik can come and just begin to talk about more of the Moorish culture and how the Moorish culture and the Native American culture can be brought together. The Maroon, yeah, the Maroon culture can be brought together.
Yes, and you know, we have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of knowledge base right here in New Orleans that we hear about, learn about by mistake most of the time, you know. We just happen to stumble into something and we hear and see, and oh my, I didn't know that was really what was going on. You know? So we're going to have to be more deliberate about what we do, how we do things, and why we do them. I think if nothing else comes out of this, we will begin to appreciate ourselves as a people, as opposed to being the former slaves or the current slaves. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because when it's all said and done, white folks have everything they have because of us.
In agreement. Definitely in agreement.
And we are running around trying to imitate white folks, imitating black folks, which to me makes no sense.
That's why we have to remember who we are. I think more and more people of color are trying to remember who they are. Sometimes they don't go about it the right way, but the fact that they're trying is awesome. But when we do, and that's why it's important for us to be able to find out who we are in safe spaces. We have an event coming up in November where we have Latina sisters, and we're going to have a family conversation. We're going to talk about traditions. We're talking about, it's got a potluck. They'll bring traditional dishes. We'll bring our traditional dishes. And come to find out, I'm pretty sure they'll be the same. Are very similar. Are very similar. So we can begin to be like, you know what? Girl, what spices you put in this? Well, let's talk about what spices you put with this. But when we begin to come together to just negate all the stuff that has been taught to us to be able to keep us separate, that's just the first step. And we meet monthly, every third Saturday.
So is your group open to others coming in, or how is it organized?
We are open, so it's our focus is women of color. And so we usually don't have too many other women come, but when they do, when they want to come, I will get an email or I'll get something in my inbox on social media that says, hey, I know this is a women of color event. May I attend? And so we say, thank you so much for asking. And based on what the topic is, it'll either be a yes or a no. People respect that. But we are open to, we turn no one away, especially when we're giving away school supplies or we're watching a movie or something. No child will ever be turned away. That's just not how I was raised. We feed the children. We keep it. My mother would like come up from where she is and just pimp slap me if I ever turn away a kid. And just my belief, we just don't turn anyone away unless it's something very particular to just Black or Latino women. And so we want to talk more and more about that. We do have women also who bring mixed women who bring their children and say, I'm part white, part Black. And so we have that conversation because they come with a whole nother set of concerns. Matter of fact, one of the Native American sisters, she said, you know what? I didn't know where to fit in because I was half Native American and half Black and nobody wanted to be bothered. So now, we're dealing with all of these different concerns. It runs deep. And within these third Saturday, within these weekends, we talk about those different things. And it can go from womb wellness to herbal medicine to financial, like all of this stuff. We've partnered up with Fidelity. We have so many things that we have so much stuff. We are just like, please come and get this so we can be better.
I grew up in a time where no child was left out or went hungry.
Oh, yeah, never.
But all of them was Black.
Help us, Lord. Help us.
So there was no problem.
Yeah. We turn nobody away, and that's just, I had a white lady come to our community pop-up play day, and she just told me, she said, thank you. You never made me feel like an outsider. You never made me feel any less for wanting to just share with you guys. And I was just like, I'm not going to turn you away. I'm not going to be like, oh, you white, you can't come through. But, and it's a community event. It was we bring the kids, they do different games and stuff, and then we have agencies that offer services to the women that are there. But there are, the way I grew up, everybody was a family.
Well, let me ask you this, because you raised a concern, and that is we have always, as people, Black people, have always made people feel comfortable and always opened our doors and arms and allowed them in. Mm-hmm. But we never get the reciprocation from whites for that. So it leads me into wondering if we aren't being cursed for bringing foreigners into our settings.
That's a good point. I've been on both ends. We've extended it. Well, let me talk from a personal, not necessarily the group. I've extended love and kindness to Europeans, and I've gotten it back. I think we talked about this on the radio show one day. You remember that? And I told you I like my white friends?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. I told you I didn't have any.
Yeah. But then there are some out there who just don't, and we don't bother. I don't bother with them. I personally, I'm not going to chase you down. I'm not going to run after you. I'm not doing any of that either. But for some of my white friends are Blacker. They're just like Blacker than some of my other friends I know. I would hate white people too if I were you. I was like, hold up, but I like you. What are you doing? Like, it's okay. Calm down, breathe. But I've had both experiences, but I do offer love to everyone. I can't say that I don't until you prove me wrong.
I can offer respect.
Well, respect. I would say respect.
But that's as far as I go. That's as far as I go. And I mean, look at me. You can tell I got white blood in me. But it is because of that white blood that I know how terrible, how dangerous white folks can be. And historically speaking,
Yes.
I have not found anywhere where whites have come in and done anything positive for blacks or other colored people. I mean, historically,
You got Mother Teresa. Was she
I
white?
stand on what I said. And of all people, somebody that's Catholic, because the Catholic Church probably has done more damage
I do
and
agree.
destruction to black folk
That
than any other organized group. Okay,
historically speaking, and still now to this day, especially what they got going on with the molestation of the little boys and all this other stuff, and they continue to try to cover that up. I agree with that. But I was raised United Methodist in the Carolinas, and it's funny to me because they brought the United Methodists and they brought down the Presbyterians to the Carolinas to try to tame the Africans that were brought, the West Africans that were brought in our areas, and they couldn't do anything with them. And so the slave masters got upset and sent them back up north. But instill that, we did follow that religion, but it is I tell people all the time, it's like a African Christianity that is, because we understood the concept of one God, they took all of what they brought with them and they coupled it with what they gave us, and they created something that's so unique in rhythm and sound and song that you can only find it there.
now that's a good point, and I say that's a good point because of this. That is what keeps us enslaved today, because we take something bad and we think we're making something good from it, when the truth of the matter is it all should have been flushed right down the toilet, or in those days put down
In the dirt, in the hole.
In the hole, exactly. Exactly.
It is definitely the ring shouts that we have, the songs, the gullah spirituals that we do, the different traditions that are there due to West African beliefs that we still have today, like the bottle tree, that they have blue and green bottles that are held outside of houses. We put mirrors and bottles on grave sites. We pass the baby across the casket so the spirits won't haunt the child, at least up to 5. We pass the child over the casket so the spirit is familiar with that particular child. We still talk about the hag that rides you, because it will ride you. And then we have to have those conversations, which are spirits that come back and just kind of hold you down so you can't breathe. They're trying to it's like they're trying to come inside, but your spirit won't let them. So we have all of those things that we still talk about and do to this day in 2018, but a lot of people don't know about them because we kind of like New Orleans. We're very friendly. we feed you.
To our detriment.
Yeah, you come in, and then we don't always talk about everything, but my mama she said, never let the right hand know what your left hand doing. So even though my right hand is like, hey, how you doing? My left hand may be doing something else, but I'm watching you. I was taught at a very young age to know what a person who did root look like. My godmother would always say, if you see somebody, you walk on the other side, you don't even look them in the eye. I was taught very early on about spiritual things as a child that we still deal with today, 2018, in Charleston. And so even though I get what you're saying, to our detriment, but that particular blend for us, even though we still understand what the enemy is doing, keeps us strong. So, I get it.
Yeah, okay.
I get it, but
all right. We're going to have to bring you back, and I'd like to have you come back with some of the women who meet regularly with you.
yes.
And we do, have some other points that
Oh, yes.
they may have that I like to flush out, because I firmly believe this is necessary for our community.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is necessary for survival from where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if we're not opening it up for others to see, then what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are we about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I understand that there's things that are said and done in secret, but my problem with that is it hasn't gotten us out of this enslavement process. And I don't mean just here in New Orleans or in America, I'm talking about around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is a serious problem.
If people of color are the world. Like, we are the world. Like, we are the
Well,
majority.
they all come from us.
Yeah, we are the majority.
They all came out of us. And see, we
yes.
we refuse to stand up and take our place in space and time as being the original people.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to regain our birthrights if we will not stand up and take charge? And that's what I see your group doing, standing up. They're taking charge.
We have no choice.
We stand up for everything and everybody else. We stand up for the saints. We stand up for the church. We stand up for everybody but us. And we need to stop that. We need to start standing up for ourselves, who we are, where we came from, to give us full vision as to where we need to be going. We have the fastest hour in television. And you know that because you've been here before.
Yes, it is fast. That went by too fast.
But let me ask you this. Is there anything that you want to share with us before we go? Any announcements? You have anything coming up?
Yes. So please check us out on our website, www.iamsnola.org. That's I Am My Sister, the first letter of each I Am My Sister, NOLA.org. And so every third Saturday, we won't have anything this month, but next month, every third Saturday, starting in November again, and in January, we already have our times set for January. We always meet at the Tumbar Life Center. That's 1683 North Claiborne. The Hebrew Israelite Center right there with Sister Tamar and her family. Big ups to them who allow us to come in and just create an atmosphere of just love and light. And so every third Saturday, or you can always check out this man right here. He'll let you know what we got going on.
That's right.
Yep, you can just check him out. But make sure that you do that. And our email is the same, where you can find IAMSNOLA. If you type that into Google, all of our information will pop up and what we're doing next. We are planning another Days of Healing conference, and it's going to be the same time next year. So we're already working on that.
Great.
Yes, people are just like, I'm doing this, I'm coming, I'm bringing. And we had women from all over. We had women from Jacksonville, New York, they came from everywhere to participate. And it was beautiful.
All right, they're giving me a sign up there. I gotta
Sorry.
go. I want to remind our viewers that they can reach us on YouTube, Our Story TV show, Our Story Network TV show, or W.C. Johnson will get you tapped into our weekly shows that we have here live, and then we put them on YouTube for you to check out. You can check me out on Mondays on WBOK from 10 to 12 with Chuck Perkins and the Chuck Wagon, and a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot there and enjoy it. So, and if you have anything you want to share with us, you have a number. Give me a call, and we'll get you here and let you say what you have to say as well. I want to thank you for being here, brothers and sisters. I want you to understand that we are here because it's necessary for you to get a different view of things. As always, stay strong, stay black, but most importantly, stay involved. Uhuru Sasa Ngawa.
Has taught us, sing a song full of the hope that the present has till victory is won.
Listen to me now, yo, before Dr. Dre, there was Dr. James, welding cords around a copper frame. We sing songs, not for the accolades, to lift voices like a helicopter blade. High in the listening skies, my eyes glisten and tears drop down like rain. Not from the pain, from the joy of how far we came. My brainstorms are designed to celebrate our reign. The collective, monuments erected, continents affected, presidents elected, ancestors making moves with the music we've been blessed with. We use it to keep communities connected. Through harmonies, a harmony is collected. Reaping the fruits our foremothers invested. Lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on, yeah, lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on, listen, lift every voice till freedom has manifested.